There is a village that no longer exists, not because of war, not because of disease, and not because people slowly moved away. According to local records, this place vanished within a single generation. Old maps still mark it satellite. Images still show faint outlines of roads and foundations, but no one lives there anymore. What happened there was never written down. Officially, only spoken about. Quietly, and usually after sunset. The village stood far from any major road, surrounded by dense forest and low hills. A narrow river flowed nearby, slow and dark, reflecting the trees like a mirror. There were no large buildings, no factories, no schools, just a few dozen houses, small fields, and an old stone church at the center. But what truly defined the village was not the church. It was the tree. Near the church stood an enormous oak, older than the village itself, wider than two grown men standing arm to arm. Its branches covered the churchyard in shadow even at midday. No one knew exactly how old it was, but everyone knew one thing: the oak was not to be touched. Children were warned not to play near it. Travelers were told not to rest beneath it, and no one under any circumstance was allowed to cut it down. There were stories. Of course, some said the tree was planted before the first house was built. Others believed the church was placed there because of the oak, not the other way around. The oldest villagers claimed that the tree marked something. Not a grave, not a boundary, but a place where something had been sealed. For generations, the rule was followed. Until the winter when everything changed. That year was harsh. The river froze earlier than usual. Crops failed. The forest seemed quieter than before. No birds. No distant animal calls. Firewood became scarce, and someone made a suggestion that had never been spoken aloud before. The oak. At first, it was dismissed. Immediately, the priest warned against it. The elders refused to even discuss it. But hunger has a way of weakening old rules, and fear, over time, becomes inconvenience. One morning, several men went to the churchyard with axes. No one else followed them. People watched from windows. From behind doors. No prayers were spoken. No blessing was given. The first strike landed against the trunk just after sunrise. Those who were there later described the same thing. The sound was wrong, not the sharp crack of wood, but something dull. Heavy. And then from the cut in the bark, something began to flow. Not sap. Too dark, too thick. It soaked into the frozen ground and disappeared almost instantly. No one spoke. The men stepped back, and for a moment, everything was silent. They should have stopped, but they didn't. The tree was cut down by nightfall. And by morning, the forest had changed. Animals were the first to vanish. Chickens refused to leave their coops. Dogs whimpered and stayed close to doors. Livestock stopped drinking from the river. Within days, the wells began to dry. Drawn from them tasted metallic. Bitter. Some said it smelled like earth after rain. Others said it smelled like nothing at all. People started getting sick. Nothing dramatic. No sudden deaths, just exhaustion, fevers that came and went, nightmares that felt too real to ignore. Many describe the same dream, standing in the churchyard, the oak still there, whole again, watching. The priest rang the church bells for the last time a week later. That night, the bells rang again. By themselves. No one was in the tower. One family left first. Then another. They didn't announce it. They didn't say goodbye. They simply packed their belongings and walked away down the forest road. Those who stayed said the silence was the worst part. No insects. No wind. Even footsteps sounded muted, as if the ground itself was absorbing sound. By spring, more than half the houses were empty. Doors left open. Furniture untouched. Fields were abandoned mid-planting. The oak's stump remained. Blackened. Cracked. And always damp. No matter the weather, the last written record of the village is a short note from a neighboring town. It mentions several abandoned homes. No signs of struggle. No bodies. Just absence. Today, the road leading there is barely visible. The forest has reclaimed most of the land. The church still stands. Roof collapsed, walls covered in moss. And near it, the stump. Locals say it has never rotted, never dried. And that nothing grows around it. Some places do not forgive being disturbed. And some decisions cannot be undone. If you ever find an old map that marks a village no one remembers, and you see a tree drawn beside a church, it may not be decoration. It may be a warning. End